Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Muslims Uncensored. And I am very pleased to announce that we have a full team in the house here today, not just myself and Roshan, but also we're honoured by the presence of Dilly Hussain, who is now, I guess you're a guest. Yeah. The tables have turned now. I was on the Blood Brothers podcast maybe like a month ago, something like that, and now you're on my show. Okay. So I'll be asking the questions today, Dilly. But assalamu alaikum and welcome. It's great to have everyone under one roof. It doesn't always happen here at Five Pillars. But let me just start off by saying, how are you doing, Dilly? Because you've had some big media appearances recently.
I'm good, alhamdulillah. I'm happy to be on Muslim Uncensored. But it's all about how much you guys censor me as well. And I know Roshan's got some things he wants to get off his chest in this episode. So,
absolutely,
focus the conversation.
I'll be interested to hear what you've got to say, Roshan, and also you as well, Dilly. Basically, for anyone who doesn't know, and I'm sure everyone does, you made an appearance on Piers Morgan's Uncensored show. It's, in my opinion, not a proper Uncensored show because he basically spent half the interview trying to censor your views. And this is following a trend of Piers Morgan grilling and being hostile towards his Muslim guests, his Palestinian guests specifically, on the issue of Palestine. But also more recently, he's also been grilling Muslims about their own beliefs about Islam as well and Islamic concepts. So let me just ask you straight away about your experience. Just tell us how you found it going into Talk TV and confronting Piers Morgan.
Obviously, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Obviously, this is not the first time I met Piers. My first engagement with him was in March 2019, around the protests against LGBT education. Remember, we done proper coverage for that, the Birmingham school. And in 2019, the parents kind of got in touch with us and they contacted GMB. Oh no, GMB contacted the community, like the parent steering group, and said, do you have anyone from the community who wants to discuss it with Piers? And they referred them to Five Pillars. And then I went on. Piers at the time was what I expected him to be, a tabloidy, tongue-in-cheek, a bullish type anchor. That's why, irrespective of what you think of him and his views, that is why he's very popular among, at least within Britain. Sometimes we can't deny that. And I find him to be an obnoxious individual on camera, someone who clearly has a double standard with regards to how he engages his Muslim and non-Muslim guests. That's beyond any question now. And I was waiting for us to meet again. The reason why is because that 2019 discussion was very timid from me, for a reason, because I went there to represent the parents. I'm not there to debate the morality of same-sex relations. Plus, I was sharing the panel with Mike Wilshaw and Samantha Reid, so it's 3v1. So I was thinking to myself, I'm going to meet this guy. And Roshan knows this. I've been saying to him, I'm going to meet him again. We're going to have another showdown. And alhamdulillah, I find it to be similar in terms of like he was less aggressive this time around because of the pressure around the Muslim boycott. He was under pressure because he knew I'm a journalist. I'm used to questioning and probing. Otherwise, his previous guests were either commentators, pundits, debaters, activists, authors, whatever it is. So the experience, all in all, was okay. When you get out of a show like that, it is a prime time show. Otherwise, the likes of Ronaldo and Khabib and these guys and Trump wouldn't be on this program. Irrespective of what you think of Piers, there's a reason why he gets the biggest names on his shows.
Absolutely. I think one of the main reasons you went on was to confront him basically about things he'd said in an earlier interview with a Muslim NHS doctor. He said things like, he criticised Sharia, he had an issue with jihad. These are concepts. This is Islam he's talking about here.
So when Abdul Wahid said this, said to him, why are women becoming Muslim in the West? His instinctive response was, because they want to be oppressed. Because they want to be oppressed. And he said it in such a nonchalant, smug way. And then he followed that by saying, oh, I know what Sharia wants. I know Sharia law.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few things I wanted to put to him.
So you went on to confront him, but now the issue here was that at the time of your appearance, there were calls being made online by many Muslims to basically boycott the show because of the way he basically interacted. Roshan wants to come in. You're welcome to actually join the discussion.
I'm just saying I was one of the
you're one of the
boycott calls.
So let's bring you in then, seeing as you've been so quiet up until now. What do you make of Dilly's appearance? What do you make of the boycott calls? Where's your view on
All right,
this?
two separate things. All right, the appearance. All right, well, actually, Dilly we had a conversation while Dilly was in the car coming back, I think, because obviously the show was recorded like an hour before, and Dilly called it a score draw before the world had seen it.
Okay.
When I actually saw it, I didn't think it was a score draw. I thought Dilly had lost, but
Really?
I thought he'd lost, but I subsequently found out there was a reason why he lost, and that's because they edited all his good bits out, and kept all Piers Morgan's good bits in.
Yeah.
When I saw the full version on YouTube, I thought it was a score draw. I thought Dilly was probably the only one who succeeded in landing blows that I've seen on Piers Morgan, putting Piers Morgan on the back foot, and that's what I wanted to see. At the same time, I think there's no doubt that Piers landed his blows as well. I'm still ambivalent about, well, not ambivalent, I still wouldn't go on myself. I think that generally Muslims shouldn't go on. I don't really see the point in going on. I think we've done it enough times. He obviously treats his Muslim guests really badly, and we're becoming suckers now. It's like masochism going on there. So many of us have already been on. We've made our point. He doesn't let us speak. Obviously, he tries to incriminate us as well, which is the worrying thing. It's not a free-flowing discussion. If it was just a debate and free-flowing exchange of views, I wouldn't have an issue. But he's literally trying to send his guests to jail, which is what I think is really pernicious. And I think that's what tips the balance for me in kind of maintaining my position in favour of a boycott.
I must admit, I was blocked by Piers Morgan recently, so I'm easy in my position on it. I will call for a boycott simply because he doesn't want me on anyway. But what about you, Dilly? Do you think that going forward we should not appear anymore, or would you appear again?
I would appear again. And, I would encourage competent individuals to engage. I'll tell you why. We've been around for 11 years. You've engaged Andrew Neil. We've both engaged Nikki Campbell. I've had Kay Burley. We've dealt with some of the more kind of established and more polished
and
aggressive, right? We've dealt with all of them. My dear brother and dear listeners, in the last 11 years, Five Pillars has never called for a boycott of any anchor or show. Agreed?
Apart from LBC, I remember LBC, but apart from them, no.
The point of the matter is, boycotting shows and anchors is not like boycotting Israeli dates. That's my view, because we are not in a position of power to choose and selectively choose which shows we engage on. Roshan's also aware that we strongly suspect, there's no conclusive evidence, but we strongly suspect that during the peak time of Zara Khan's time as the Zara of the Countering Extremism Commission, there could have been lists going round to bookies and teams to not invite certain non-violent Islamist extremists who are eloquently speaking, and because we realised from getting loads of interviews with Roshan, what happened for about 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, this is Dilly's strongest point, actually, because we used to get loads of interviews. We used to be on BBC, Sky, all the time, Channel 4, etc., etc. And then, I don't know, from Zara Khan's time onwards, maybe 5 years ago, a bit more there, literally all those invitations stopped. So it's not by a coincidence.
I used to review newspapers on Sky.
And we don't have much of an alternative. Piers Morgan is probably the only one who has a mass audience that is still inviting us. So that is probably Dilly's strongest argument, I must admit that. But can I ask you a question, Dilly? Don't you think there was, I wouldn't say a consensus, I'm not saying it was ijma or anything like that. I'm not saying this is halal or haram, it's just a matter of opinion. But I feel from the comments online, from the Five Pillars feedback, from the people that I knew, there was a definite majority in favour of boycotting the show, not going on. And I think you went against that.
I would just slightly disagree. I would say that the sentiments were strong. To say that it was a consensus was definitely incorrect.
Not a consensus, but a majority, I think.
No, I wouldn't even say 50-50, because at the end of the day, I'll tell you why. Because the Muslims will still watch the show, Muslim guests will still go on to the show, and every guest that we respect that are close to our organisation that went on previously, I've spoken to them and they said they would go again. Some of our mashayikh, not one scholar who advises us and close to us picked up the phone and said, Didi, I am of the boycott, you should not go. So the point of the matter is, I understand there was a strong sentiment, but the blame...
Do you think they were telling you the truth? I'm not accusing shuyukh of lying, but in terms of they were just being husn ad-dan and just not wanting to hurt your feelings?
No, because they said that if we don't engage, well, Sheikh Asrar is of this position. I'm not going to name drop any other scholars, but there's at least 4 I spoke to. They said if we don't engage in these platforms, then we are going to complain when they start bringing in murtadeen and ex-Muslims, and then when their clips go viral, then we go, oh, where are our guys?
But it was obvious that Piers Morgan was.
There was a strong sentiment. So I just want to acknowledge.
Strong sentiment.
I definitely want to acknowledge there was a strong sentiment. It was trending. But the point of the matter is, are you actually going to boycott a show? It's never been done before. How's boycotting BBC's license going? I cancelled mine, but how's that going?
Badly, because it's not been followed up. But what I would say about that, the only difference to that is that it's actually quite hard to persuade, a million or hundreds of thousands of people to take a certain action, whereas here it would have sufficed if only 5 or 6 people had boycotted the show. So that's the difference. But I don't know.
Who does it
but you asked Piers Morgan yourself. You actually said you're triggered by this boycott, aren't you? Because he really was.
He was.
So
yeah,
really was.
definitely.
Again, that makes me think that we should have followed through on the boycott.
Also, there's another confusion on our part. We both, editors and co-founders, we have to accept this, right?
Yeah.
People thought that this was an editorial stance.
Bad messaging.
It wasn't. And then I messed up by telling our designer to have that hashtag on, because that was the hashtag of the episode. The hashtag of that episode was boycott Piers Morgan. And so I followed that hashtag, and I thought, why not keep it trending? Because it's the topic of conversation today. And because I posted that, and because you lot had a show a couple of days beforehand, there was definitely a mixed message. And for that, from our part, I think collectively we can...
Yeah, even my clarification message had boycott.
Exactly.
Hashtag boycott Piers Morgan.
So basically,
Look, I want to say something about this. Because it was clearly bad messaging on my part. I would say this. What changed the equation for me is the treatment of Abdul Wahid, because I was of
100%.
I mean, I was always more inclined not to go on Piers Morgan, but I must admit,
but you said you would
if I had received an invitation, which I never did, I would have gone on until the way Abdul Wahid was treated, because I thought that changed the equation, because literally he's trying to get it. It happens to you now.
This is payback.
It's a tradition. It's a tradition.
This is payback for Roshan always interrupting me. So
I deliberately leave my phone on there.
Thank you so much.
Because it's a tradition that someone calls us during the show. Yeah, but just to say that he was literally trying to get Abdul Wahid arrested and prosecuted. So that for me tipped the balance into let's have nothing to do with this guy.
Abdul Wahid to some extent knew that was going to happen, though. Not to that extent. No way to that extent. Maybe mentioning some pressing and probing and moving on to something else. But he knew that was going to be conversed about. He definitely knew it. Look, I think the Piers Morgan thing, we can rip him as much as we want, and I think Muslims will carry on ripping him. I do regard him to be an Islamophobe. I do hold that position. And obviously he thinks, in his mind, he thinks it's either Tommy Robinson is the Islamophobe or not. Obviously, as Muslims, we know that Islamophobes come in all stripes and colours and grades and spectrums, right? Some are more harsh than others. Some give the veneer of understanding and being our allies. The way he cited Iraq war. You didn't oppose the Iraq war because it was a Muslim nation. You opposed the Iraq war because you felt, according to your liberal standards, it didn't meet the threshold to justify war. If it did, you would have supported. So it's nonsense.
Anyone with half a brain would have been against the Iraq war. He supported the Afghan war.
Yeah, but the point is, even his reasons for opposing the Iraq war wasn't because it's a sovereign Muslim state. No. It's because it didn't meet your threshold to justify war. Yeah. If it did, you would have given it full backing. But just on the last one, on Piers, look, we can rip him, and he's worthy of being ripped. And what poetic, Allah-centric justice was it that the whole kind of phone hacking thing happened the day after?
We're going to talk about that.
I think that week was poetic. What he did to Abdul Wahid, who he was tagging online. Then he was speaking about boycott, talking about professional integrity, and then the next day, lo and behold, a High Court judge finds him that he was aware of what was happening. But look, Piers Morgan is someone who still will get the views. Khabib won't boycott him. Other Muslim notables that Muslims love will not boycott him. So if we can share a platform where the biggest names in the world have shared them and will continue to do so, I think it's worth having a ding-dong with him. For those who are competent among us, and the favours, and he will always be in his favour, it's his show, it's his ring, it's his den. The best we can do is go there, lick some shots, come back, take some shots, and inshallah ta'ala, hope that message gets amplified. I've got so many messages from Palestinians, from the West Bank, so many, wallahi, that said, you know what, Jazakallah khairan, we want off the boycott, because we want our voices and our representatives to get any platform whatsoever to get our message out and to actually expose the hypocrisy and the double standards of those who are given this flex of we are the moral high ground. I've got loads of messages like that.
I like what you said, Dilly, about...
well, you've killed the boycott now, haven't you? There's going to be no one picketing Piers Morgan anymore.
I think that... I like what you said about competent people going on, because in a way it's kind of our job, isn't it? We're in the media, we're Muslims in the media, and this should be an area where we're strong on, especially making other media appearances. At the same time, also worry maybe it's a honey trap. A lot of people might want to go on just to kind of
They
because
do.
it's a big platform.
Me and Roshan was
queuing up.
but-
They're
Oh
queuing
God,
up.
Roshan!
They're begging him.
They're begging,
the
no one did
question is
that.
like-
It's cringe, man. They're begging to
It's
go on.
disgusting. I'm not going to mention any
maybe
names, but we spoke
cringe.
about.
We know who it is.
Maybe it's cringe.
It's so cringe. Wallahi, Hijab did not ask. Abdul Wahid did not ask. Loki did not
Hijab
ask.
kind of asked, didn't he?
Okay, now
Because
they were
he was like-
engaging. They were engaging, so you could see where it was heading.
You're a coward.
Yeah, yeah. But that wouldn't go against his style, though, would it? So at least he's consistent in that
Yeah,
regard.
yeah.
But no one else was. No one was asking. Oh, bring us. Now we've got literally people tagging him, saying, "Bring me on, bring me on. I want to come on." I'm like, what?
So much for the boycott.
I'm like, that's not a good look. That's not a good
We
look.
should start boycott after my
Hashtag
appearance.
bring me on, please.
Roshan, can we also say that on camera that I did decline 2 interviews that same week?
With Piers Morgan?
Yeah, with Piers.
Oh, yeah, because of the conditions.
Yeah, with the conditions. I
Yeah.
said no.
You want a one-on-one.
First they wanted me on remotely. I said I'm not having that. Then they said come on and share a panel. I was like no.
With Douglas Murray or
Yeah, with
something,
Douglas
right.
Murray. I was like no. It's going to be a 1v1, and that's the
Yeah,
only way you're
good.
going to have me on.
I
Khalas.
respect that because at the end of the day, we have to pick our battles. We have to fight
Yes.
on our terms, not on
Yes.
the terms of the enemies. Basically,
Roshan even said he
I
was
think-
surprised.
I'll go on. I will go on one condition. I'm interviewing him in jail.
Yeah.
Belmarsh.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because Piers Morgan is under he's in legal peril, I guess
Yes.
is the right way to describe it, over the phone hacking allegations, the scandal that's dogged him for a number of years. Roshan, perhaps I'll pass this on to you because you know quite well the background to this. So
very
what's
briefly.
happening?
Obviously, during the time when he was editor of the Daily Mirror, phone hacking was going on constantly, and that's a proven fact. People have gone to jail for it. He was the editor. Now, he's always said he never knew anything about it, didn't ask anyone to hack a phone, etc. So this means one of three things: either he's lying, or he's an incompetent editor. Because an editor should know what his staff are doing, and obviously the phone hacking is a massive big deal, and it was the talk of the town at the time as well, or both. So I don't know which one it is. He insists that he's never hacked a phone. However, now that a judge has ruled that he knew about it and was involved in it, that's a huge big deal. Literally a high court judge has said that, and that carries massive weight, and it should lead, I think, to a police investigation, or at least I'm sure it will lead to civil cases against him, but I think it will lead to a police investigation. I believe that Talk TV should have suspended him already.
I don't think they
I believe they should have, as an ethical journalistic organisation, but we know they're far from that.
Yeah.
So he's still doing his show. He still has this bluster. He's obviously tried to divert attention onto the royal family in the way that he normally does. But I think the police, now that the High Court judge has said what he said, the police have to launch an investigation against it, and he can make his arguments in court.
There is a comment which I'm going to play out, a very quick one. It's from Evan Harris, the director of press accountability watchdog Hacked Off, who told the BBC recently that Piers Morgan should face prosecution and be suspended from his job after the judge made the ruling. I'll just play that out quickly so we can all hear it.
What do you think should happen now as regards who looks into what has flowed out of today? Do you think the Metropolitan Police should be looking at both the Mirror Group newspapers and perhaps individuals as well?
Yes, clearly. The police need to do their job. That means reading the judgment, look at the underlying material that was deployed in public court, and then they have to consider the criminality that a judge in a court of law, after an 8-week public trial, has found that Piers Morgan was guilty of, as an example. Not just Piers Morgan, but he's an example. And secondly, that by definition, he could not have told the truth under oath at the Leatherstone inquiry. And that means, and that's a serious matter, perjury. It's not, phone hacking's bad enough, but perjury is a serious matter. Now, I believe that Piers Morgan is entitled to due process, something he denies to the other people that he tends to defame and libel. But that process, that due process, now needs to start with the police and prosecution authorities taking action.
Yes.
And I think Talk TV, if they are a proper regulated broadcaster in this country, will have to suspend him pending the outcome of these allegations.
Obviously very serious stuff. It's almost like he's pretending that nothing's happened.
Yeah.
He's back on the show now and interviewing people. Where do you think it...
Well, he blocked me because I kept on calling for the police to investigate him. I said lots of rude things about him before, but he never blocked me.
And straight after that, we got a copyright strike from their channel as well.
Oh, yes. I wonder if that was... Could you elaborate on that? What happened?
So obviously you lot have been at it with Piers, haven't you? I was blocked because we had a disagreement about Meghan. I said, look, just don't do creepy stuff like, wage a grudge against a woman because she blanked you in a party. I goes, that's creepy. So don't do that. So I was blocked, and I was recently unblocked just before coming onto the show. And you guys have been piling so much pressure on him. Roshan's been calling for his prosecution and stuff. So I'm
calling for this public hanging, guillotine.
So obviously we uploaded in good faith and thinking and assuming, obviously now wrongly thinking that we could upload the version of the debate me and Piers had onto our channel like other guests have, but I'm not going to mention the names. I don't want their channels to get copyright strikes. And it was fine. It was up for about 3-4 days, and then soon after you got blocked, they put in a copyright. Now I'm not saying the two things are linked. We're just saying that the timing's a bit weird.
But they gave us a deadline, right?
That's why. So they initially
go on. You explain.
So initially they gave us a 7-day deadline. They said it was a takedown notice. So like, right, guys, you've got 7 days to take it down.
This Talk TV, right?
Yeah. And it was the Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Okay, so them specifically.
Yeah. So when you look at who put the copyright strike in, it tells you Piers Morgan Uncensored. They gave us 7 days to take the video down. So me and Roshan was like, okay, fine. In this 7 days, I'll reach out to them saying what's going on.
Yeah, sure.
What's the process? If it is, if not, we'll take it down. No problem. Within 2 days of that initial email, they just took it down and applied a copyright strike.
So enforcing,
they screwed us basically.
Enforcing censorship, being dishonest.
Piers Morgan uncensored.
And there's other guests that have been on his show that have shared the full thing on their channels.
It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, there's some issue. They're just constantly attacking us. I mean, all I did was I literally said, stop saying that you're pro-Palestine.
Didn't you call him fat and like two chins?
No, well, on the show I did, but I didn't tweet about it. I was actually quite respectful, I guess. I just said, stop calling yourself pro-Palestine when you're clearly pushing.
But Robert is genuinely hurt by being blocked, whereas for me it's a badge of honour, but you're like, why did you do that to me?
Well, I don't know. I think that at least invite me on, and then we can push a boycott, right? Just bring on the.
Even Robert's asking for a show.
Now. He's begging.
Even he's begging now for a show. What do you want to do about it?
Now I've been blocked. No, I'm going to push this boycott as hard as I possibly can. Talking of boycotts, let's give Piers Morgan a rest. I think we're finished.
The best tweet was from Imran Munir from Mad Mamluks. Yeah, it was something like, "I believe in a boycott only after I go on the show."
Yeah, I'm adopting that position on it. But
can I ask Roshan something though?
Yeah, go for it.
What do we do if we carry on having prominent people going onto the show? What happens?
We can't do anything. We literally can't do anything.
Okay.
If we've got people who are going to cross the picket line, we can't do anything.
Do you see any value in it?
No.
At all?
I think it's a circus.
At all.
And the only value is that it gets lots of views. And let's say, for example, Abdul Wahid, when he went on, and I thought that was a bit of a car crash, but Islam was trending a few days later.
Yeah.
So I can see it from that point of view. But everything is pros and cons. Nothing is black and white. I think the pros outweigh, so the cons outweigh the pros. So I just think it's a circus. It's ridiculous, and it's a bit embarrassing as well now. Especially with people begging to go on.
Yeah, that's just wrong.
Yeah,
honestly.
It just seems like they've found a formula which they can put Muslims in a corner, because obviously there is the question about how do you address the issue of Hamas and all that type of stuff. They know, obviously, that the UK censors this issue. How do you respond to that? And it seems as if some Muslim guests actually don't know how to deal with that question. I think, Roshan, you dealt with it quite well on James Well by basically making the point that, look, the UK doesn't allow free speech, so I'm not going to talk about it. The UK does not allow free speech. This is an anti-free speech zone, and Muslims are the biggest victims of cancel culture. This is what no one admits, right? Muslims are the biggest victims of cancel culture.
Number one.
Not right-wingers, not left-wingers. It's literally Muslims.
Number one.
We can't even talk about Islam without being accused of being an extremist and a terrorist. Do you know what I mean? So
can we not talk about Piers Morgan next week? Can this be the end of it?
Never. Okay. We're blocking you.
Because we've done like 3 shows in a row now.
Yeah, we're blocking Piers Morgan now completely. I don't want to hear. I don't want to see him.
Until you're on the show.
People are dying. Until you're on the show. People are dying in Palestine, by the way. And I think we need to get back to Palestine.
Absolutely, 100%.
Well, the show does discuss the deaths. Come on. I said it repeatedly, 7,000 children have died. I said, you want me to condemn 1,200, but you sit there and you can't condemn 7,000 unless Biden says so. So I think if these points and these sound bites go viral, it does help the wider narrative, of course. And who, from amongst the non-Muslim anchors, right, who doesn't do it for views and hits and clicks and engagements? I just think if it's going to be one rule, it have to be consistently applied.
Well, let's get everyone watching Muslims Uncensored. 'Cause that's the
Definitely,
proper
100%.
Uncensored show.
100%.
Yeah, that's the proper Uncensored show. We've been talking about boycotts a lot. There is a lot of boycott action happening, particularly Muslim-led boycotts, the BDS as well, for example, which are targeting major brands right now, which are either supporting Israel in some way or doing business with Israel in some way, or are perceived to be. The latest one which went viral is the Zara boycott. It's a high street fashion brand, and literally they've had to close shops, and there've been massive protests outside. This one, there's like a dispute over whether the ad campaign which inspired the boycott was actually inspired by the horrors in Gaza or not. They dispute that. They say that no, they did the ad way before it. So I don't know about whether this boycott is right or wrong.
But this wouldn't be
maybe it's misinformation. We don't know.
But this wouldn't be the first time that Zara was boycotted. Zara has been proven to have some links to Israel. I'm not sure the exact nature of it, but this is not the first time the people have called for a boycott of Zara. So I don't think that's a coincidence. When you're branding your winter brand,
it's very suspect.
As if it's a woman in Gaza.
You've got history.
You got film. So.
And I mean, mainstream media try to dispute many of these boycotts. Like they try and say, is there any proof McDonald's has a relationship with Israel and stuff like that? So again, it's neither here nor there in that regard. But clearly there are successes. Like Puma, for example, has announced a total termination of its sponsorship arrangement with the Israeli football team. So there are successes here. And again, we see direct action now taking its place. What do you think? Do you think that the whole BDS thing is a winning formula? Is this something which can actually achieve results? Because as you said, the boycott of the BBC hasn't done so well. What do you make of it?
Will BDS liberate Palestine? No. Will it dismantle Israel? No. Will it weaken the occupier? Yes. And just based on that, Muslims should approach boycott as an act of worship and resistance in that regard. Whether we can boycott every single Israeli brand, and again, I'm all about consistency. If you're going to apply that, then apply that to the Chinese with what they're doing to Uyghurs, apply that to the Indians with what they're doing to the Kashmiris, apply to the Americans with what there has to be some of consistency. With Israelis, I believe you have to, by Islamic law, reject and not consume their dates, their olives, any of food producers that's produced on stolen land. Khalas, that's haram alaik, I believe. Other things is what you can do. Like, I don't know how a Muslim can buy Siemens, knowing that they provide technological hardware for the surveillance of our people. I don't know how you can buy, I think an HP as well is involved in that. I don't know how you can buy Puma, even though they are the official sponsor of the Moroccan football team, right? And I had a T-shirt not too long ago, but it was a fake from a market, so I don't wear it anymore. Bought in Marrakesh. But if you can boycott the food producers, alhamdulillah. If you can boycott wherever you can, that you have the tawfiq to do it, you should do it. And I never discourage boycott. But we should also not be thinking that boycott will dismantle the Zionist entity. We should definitely get out of that bubble as well, because if anyone does think that, but it will weaken them, and it has weakened them, and it has, and it's a massive statement to the world to show that Muslims and non-Muslim allies, when we get together and we boycott in such a coordinated fashion, we can dent their pockets, and their pockets is what matters in most cases, and not.
I think that there are many companies that are starting to feel the heat. Stocks are dropping, that type of thing. It's having a financial impact, and I think that there is the element of fear factor. We need to encourage companies not to do it because it will financially burden them to support apartheid Israel, basically.
Loads of empty Starbucks in the Muslim world. Loads.
Absolutely.
Loads.
Yeah, talk of them leaving the Moroccan market and stuff like that. Again, I'm not sure if that's true or not, but a lot of bad PR for these major companies. Roshan, any comments on the BDS?
No, I mean, what Dilly said about having consistency. I mean, in an ideal world, I agree with that, but I think there is benefit to targeting certain companies.
Agreed.
I think we should do what's achievable, because boycotting everybody is just not achievable. I mean, this mobile phone, there's probably stuff in here that I don't even know about that I shouldn't have paid for, you know? So if we can focus in on one or two or three big companies, really hurt them, it sends out a wider message.
It has to be like that.
Target companies that actually rely on Muslim customer bases, that type of thing. That would be really effective. Don't just boycott brands that don't even care. They don't even have any Muslim customers. Do you know what I mean? What benefits is that going to have? There is a story I'm going to move on to, which Roshan can talk a lot about. It's about about the Arabic language. There was an opinion piece published in 5 Pillars a couple of days ago, and it basically urged for Muslims all across the globe to make a renewed effort to actually learn the Arabic language.
Yes.
And as someone who doesn't speak the Arabic language fluently, I'm guilty of this. You do speak Arabic, Roshan?
Not fluently, but reasonably well, I would say, but not fluently, no. It was World Arabic Language Day. So I made a point of making a big deal out of that and talking about it, and because I just think it's really important, because obviously I'm someone who's, I'm 50 years old now. Just admitted it publicly, and I've been learning Arabic for
you don't look a day past 70.
I don't look a day past 49 and a half, but I've been learning Arabic for like 20 years or over 20 years, but bit by bit, and it's a difficult language to learn. But what I found over the years is that, especially if you learn modern standard Arabic, Fusha, your appreciation of the Quran, for example, and this is the main reason, it just multiplies. And obviously reading the Quran in translation is one thing, but it's not the same. And I'm at the stage now where I can read the Quran 80% of the time without a translation. I do still refer to the translation just to kind of solidify my understanding, but just reading the words in that beautiful, dignified, honorable, divine Arabic, I mean, it does something to you emotionally, intellectually, in every single way. It's a massive iman booster. So that is the primary reason why we should all learn Arabic. It's not easy, but if you do it step by step every day, you're learning a few words every day, listening to a few podcasts or whatever your level is, you will improve as long as you're consistent in doing it. Obviously, I believe very strongly that Arabic should be the link language between Muslims that don't share a common language. 100%. At the moment, even if you go to Makkah al-Mukarramah, right, you will hear English spoken as much as Arabic in some areas, in the holiest city in the Muslim world. And we're using Western languages, French and English, to talk to each other when we don't share a common language. I think Arabic, Fusha, modern standard Arabic should be the lingua franca of the Muslim world once again. It will take generations to get to that point because we're so poisoned and influenced by the West, but it's something, if we are serious about unifying the ummah, to reviving the deen and the ummah and even the khilafah one day, then 100%. This is a prerequisite.
Yes, that's a very wise point to make. I mean, the fact is that it is a beautiful language as well, and it's the language of the Quran, so obviously learning it...
It's the language of Islam, it's the language of Jannah.
Absolutely. So it brings us closer.
So what I would finally say is that obviously I speak a few languages, so I've got an experience of learning languages. The key is to do small chunks every day, remain consistent every day, even if you do 5 minutes a day, but just don't miss those 5 minutes. 5 minutes is nothing. We can all spare 5 minutes in a day. I mean, we're watching Netflix for hours and hours every day. Can we spend 5 minutes per day to learn the language of the Quran, the divine language, the perfection of human speech, the language of Jannah, but do it consistently every day? You will see your efforts compound. And there's nothing better. Sorry, I know I'm boring you now, but
no, it's true. I was just going to say we need to boycott Netflix, boycott the English language.
Boycott the English language. But I feel ashamed, to be honest, that my first language is English. That I'm speaking to two fellow Muslims here in the language of the colonizer. I want to speak to you in Arabic, and we should get to that point.
Surely the first language, I know what it should be, but it's normal that English would be our first language. We were born here.
Well, I wasn't, but I'm Mahaja. I'm Mahaja the wrong way, unfortunately.
Okay, but by the way, how many languages do you speak?
The only languages I speak fluently are French and English.
Sinhalese?
I've forgotten my Sri Lankan languages. I can understand them a little bit, but not much.
How's the Urdu?
They've gone. Urdu is it's just like. Dor Bankar and Pani, whatever, just Mar, another one.
So Arabic and French.
Arabic and French, and Spanish I understand very well, and Arabic I would say is like 70-80%. Yeah.
Robert, how many languages do you speak?
Many badly. Okay. No, I only speak English, unfortunately. So I'm a very good example of a bad linguist, I guess is what you call it.
You're a white guy, isn't it? Because also white guys just will learn one language.
Exactly. I have white privilege.
So Bengali, I'm not even including English. Bengali, my Urdu is about 70%. I can do maybe about 40-50% Punjabi, a particular type of Punjabi, and that's it really.
Yeah,
how's your Arabic?
You guys know some.
It's a little bit. I can definitely understand it more than I can speak it.
Yeah.
I can try wing some lines, but that's not.
But obviously, you can read the Quran and everything like that.
Of course, 100%. That's standard. That's institutionalized from a young age.
Yeah, mashallah. I must admit, I need to come back with
Inshallah, we all do,
better
bro.
language skills.
We all do, bro.
what can I
5
say?
minutes each day, 10 minutes, and that 5 minutes will turn into 10 minutes because
Definitely.
you'll get into it.
And you want to do it.
But just do not fail to do that 5 minutes every day. Your wife is an Arab. Come
Yes,
on, you've
that's
got the
true.
perfect.
Yes.
You've
Yeah.
got the perfect excuse to learn the language.
Yes, and I do, inshallah, I intend to learn because I have kids now as well, and they're going to learn Arabic. My eldest is reaching the age now where she's adopting language skills. So yeah, inshallah, I need to sit down and do the baby classes and literally learn the alphabet and everything. I know a few bits of Arabic, but yeah, nothing that I'd brag about.
No excuses, Robert.
No excuses.
No
at all.
excuses.
No, you've shamed me very well.
I'm going to
thank
give you a
very
test
much for
next
that.
week.
Thank you very much for that. Yeah, I feel humiliated and shamed, but for just a reason.
That's the way to do it. You name and shame.
That's what it's like working under Roshan at Five Pillars, the supreme leader and guide
supreme leader.
of us here.
I'm supreme leader, by the way, of Five Pillars
supreme
now.
leader,
I'm
love
not a chief editor or whatever.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that Roshan's very opinionated and likes to hear what he has to say a lot, and you've been active on X very much.
This
so.
show's Bambi, isn't it? It's great.
It is,
Roshan's
yeah,
lovely.
it's great. The Roshan Mohammed Saleh show. But two things that you tweeted, which I really liked, which I'm going to put to you, Dilly. The first one is if there was
Does
a
Roshan tweet
voluntary-
anything you don't like?
because he's my boss, I love everything he says. I love you personally, very much so.
Women's football, he doesn't like that, is it? When I cuss women
Oh
football.
yeah, we had a bit of barmy over football, supporting England.
oh, England,
I ding dong
You
out
should
with him
weigh in
over
on
football
that.
all the time.
Oh yeah,
He's an England fan.
Do you
Yeah,
support?
he actually
Would you
wants to
support
know.
England FC in the World Cup?
I do not support England in football.
If
But hold
all
on.
Muslim teams were
He-
out of it, it was just England and
In
I don't
football,
know.
no.
Okay.
But Roshan knows I support England in cricket
Oh really?
and rugby.
Why? What's the difference?
Because I think supporting England in football brings out something which the other sports don't. End of story. That's it. And
Really?
because it is linked to
The right-wing thugs.
the right wing
Oh, I see.
football
So
hooliganism.
there's no cricket hooliganism.
There isn't. It's
But I
gentleman's
suppose
sport. There
those
isn't rugby.
people who support the England team, those thugs, they might support cricket as well, right?
That's just a coincidence thing, really. I have no big issue with supporting England in cricket or England in rugby. I have a problem with supporting
Okay.
England in
I just
football.
want England to lose in all sports, which is a nice segue into voluntary deportation.
And hold on, brothers. Tell me which other sports captains and leadership and management have taken the stance that they did in Qatar.
Oh yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
they don't push the
yeah,
propaganda.
They probably would if they got the chance.
They would have if they had to. But the point, to date, no other national sports team has done what the English football team did in Qatar, and we can never forget what they did in Qatar.
It's true because
absolutely.
England do tour Pakistan in cricket, and
And they
don't
never
come out
do
with this
that.
LGBT
They
stuff
never do
and,
that. And rugby, they'll go to countries as well.
They've kept the politics out of those
Yeah.
sports, interestingly.
So I have an issue with supporting England in football, not the other sports.
But they sing
That's
God
it.
Save the Queen and stuff, don't they, at cricket matches? I don't watch cricket, by the way.
You'd have to sing the national anthem, though, Habib.
Okay.
You'd have to sing the national, switch it up, put it on mute, listen to it. You'd have to sing along. And
But, so if Pakistan, a Muslim country, was playing England in cricket, you'd support England?
no,
against
no,
the
no,
Muslim-
Muslim abadan, like default. That's standard.
All right, fine. Yeah.
Allah,
I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to
No.
black Piers
Allah,
Morgan.
His message on the Muslims. That's default for Muslims.
All right, absolutely fine. What can I say? Let's try and grill Roshan for once, Dilly, on these comments. So basically, if there was a voluntary
like this one.
deportation scheme, would you be interested? And what
Yes.
would your price be?
Yes.
A bit like a redundancy
Yeah.
package.
Yeah.
But
We're
instead
both
of
very
leaving,
interested.
instead of leaving your job,
Yeah,
you'd
we've
have
just
to leave
spoken
the
about this
country.
time ago.
So what's your view on this, Dilly?
So my view is that it will never happen.
Okay.
It will be a logistical and financial.
It's a stupid tweet. It'll never happen.
But we could
It's
do crowdfunding,
hypothetical.
couldn't we?
No,
We could do crowdfunder.
so who's gonna?
Like right-wing people that hate us, and
Okay.
like Zionists and stuff like
Look,
that.
many of them are broke, and look, without taking a biscuit, many of them are
They're
the
on the social, aren't they?
No, and hold on, and no, let's be real about it. We can rip them and gun them as much as we want, but you know what? Most of them are victims of the very establishment that we're against. That's the truth of it. The average poor Englishman's anger is channeled in the wrong way. But the real problem is the elite, who are very close with the Zionist lobby, and when they're done with the Asians and the coloured and the Muslim, they're going to pit the poor against the rich versus the middle class. But the truth of the matter is, I would be very interested. I actually wrote my quote tweet to Roshan and then I deleted
saw
it.
that, yeah. Oh, you deleted it?
Yeah, because initially I said 250k.
And I say 500.
No, I said 100.
100 for each family member.
Yeah, because
which
I
is
want
like 40 family members.
Yeah, so I was like, so there's 25 of us, my parents, my 6 siblings, and 17 grandchildren, and more to come, inshallah ta'ala. So,
Inshallah, yeah,
so 100 grand each, please. 100 grand each.
100 grand each. Wow.
100 grand each.
I don't want to make it too difficult for them to kind of
I don't
get
want to
rid of
make it
me.
difficult. No,
You're
but-
making it really difficult. So my price is a lot less than that.
20 grand.
I would say, yeah, I would say maybe 100 grand would see me in like a cheap Muslim country. That would see me through a few
You guys
years.
think very highly of yourself. I think
No, are you
I reckon
crazy?
I could raise that.
Bro, how much
I
taxes
think
have
that's
I paid? How
realistic.
I've contributed to this
Okay,
society, bro.
that makes-
That in chucking me out of your country, which is my country of birth as well, I wouldn't want to leave you broke. I wouldn't want you to be poor to kick me out. See that shows mercy and compassion and fairness. 100 grand for each family member, please.
Do you think the Muslims...
I actually want to go, all right? So I'm not going to put the price too high. I reckon 100 grand, cheap Muslim country, beautiful Muslim country, nice weather, Sharia law, inshallah. I reckon 100 grand would see me through a few years. I could buy a business with half of it, keep me going. I could do 5 pillars, isn't it? From a beach in...
yeah. Do you know, I actually remember, I think it was Paul Golding, he released a tweet basically saying this, that he would be willing to pay for people to
10
leave.
grand, it's not
something
enough.
like that. Yeah, it was like, DM me and we'll pay for you to go, all you Islamists or whatever it was.
He couldn't pee in a pot. He couldn't pee in a pot.
He actually got inundated with requests.
Yeah.
He blocked everyone.
He stopped the comment section. He actually closed the door to comments and to DMs because he was just a BS merchant. So obviously he wasn't serious about it.
Unless we forget HFA sued Britain First and Paul Golding.
Oh yeah.
These guys are broke. They ain't got £50 to give their own people.
But I just want to put it on record before we move on. Okay. I'm interested. I'm interested.
I'm interested, but
give us your offer. Call in. But
unrealistic and logistically impossible. But I would be interested. 100 grand is my price for every family member. Every family member.
I'm privileged because I'm white, so I'm more expensive. So I'll charge like 1 million, 1 billion. We have another question from you, Roshan, a really good one. Who supports Israel? Who supports Israel?
Yeah, you can just read out the list.
You made a list of who supports Israel.
This is where the 5 Pillars readers come in, because that list is not really my list. I put a few rubbish ones at the top, but I was just reading the comments and they were coming out with these amazing suggestions. So I keep on updating it. So it's really triggering the Zionists, by the way.
This is a tweet which went viral. Absolutely. Who supports Israel? You listed a few obvious examples. Islamophobes support Israel. Racists support Israel. Far-right nutters. Zionist supremacists. Evil Western politicians. Hindutva fanatics. Tell me, Dilly, do you have any more to add to the list? I can give you a few more.
I think that's quite an exhaustive list.
The worst of the worst, basically.
There was more suggested. So those were the suggestions that you came up with. There were more that you added later on, which people in the public were adding to. Piers Morgan made the list.
His own slot.
He does.
Hypocrites support Israel. Ex-Muslims support Israel. Iranian diaspora weirdos support Israel. Go on, Dilly, jump in.
Let me tell you, sorry to bring it back to Piers, right? You want to know how much he loves Israel? He loves Israel so much that he does not believe in the right of Palestinians to resist occupation. I asked him off camera. I said, do you believe that the Palestinians have the right to defend themselves against those things you condemn Israel for? No, I don't. I think they should diplomacy for a solution.
They've tried the peaceful route, haven't they?
Can you imagine that?
That hasn't worked.
Can you imagine that?
It's crazy.
He does not want Palestinians to resist the very thing he claims to condemn. That's how much he loves Israel. But there's one group there that has to be called out for their recent cringeworthy, slave-like shilling for the Israelis, and that's the Hindutva.
I knew he was going to say that, yeah.
My Lord. These people, right, first and foremost, the Zionists are actually religious Jews, consider you to be polytheist mushrikeen, just like we do. In fact, they curse you way more than the Muslims do in terms of generally speaking of pagans. But the support and the literal bootlicking, it's been so nauseating, and it's been grounded around their fixation with wanting Israeli women, actually, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of these Hindutva guys, they want blonde-haired, blue-eyed, perverted men who actually want to go after... I'm saying a lot of them are, because they're like, we want to marry you, please, sir. We want to marry you. And a lot of these videos, and you'll see a lot of Israelis are coming like, hey, we don't want you. Abraham would have destroyed your idols and stuff like that. The support from India, on a serious note, makes absolute sense. Because when you speak to Kashmiris, they'll say what our brothers and sisters are going through in Palestine, especially in places like Sheikh Jarrah, is exactly what's happening to us. It's just that in there, it's a slow ethnic cleansing. There are Hindus being brought from mainland India into occupied Kashmir. And there is like a dual treatment and laws in way the Kashmiris are dealt with in their areas, in their settlements, in their cantonments, with checkpoints and stuff, with
demolishing
curfews, homes, exactly.
So they're trying to settle Hindus from India into the region to change the demographics.
So it makes absolute sense why Hindutva and RSS shills and trolls and bot accounts would support them. It makes sense, but they have to be called out because it's so disgusting, it's so cringeworthy, it's nauseating that even Israelis don't like it.
It's a crazy list. War junkies, South Africa, apartheid supporters, Israeli bots.
Elon Musk.
You know, there was
Elon Musk, Douglas Murray. He literally loves Israel.
He's just a genocide tourist, isn't he? He's literally he's putting pictures of himself in Gaza, embedded with the Israeli occupation forces.
Wallahi, he's the worst.
Richard Kemp. Look out for him, my brothers and sisters. Richard Kemp, the ex-colonel who invaded Afghanistan on behalf of the British, and Douglas Murray, genocide tourists. That's what they are.
Yeah, so it was a funny list, I must admit, and it just reflects.
I want to ask Dilly about one. There was was one suggestion.
There's one list. No, you said Iranian weirdos, didn't you?
Yeah, diaspora.
These guys are crazy. Like they'll come out with like
they hate Islam.
A different flag. They're practically atheist, a lot of them, right? They're another crazy.
There was
bunch.
one suggestion in the comments.
They were supporting desecration of the Quran as well, by the way, when that was spiking.
There was one suggestion in the comments, and I didn't think I should put it in there because I wasn't sure. Mudkhalis. What do you reckon? Should they on there? I wasn't sure. Are they more like trying to deflect attention away, but they're not supporting Israel, are they?
Yeah, I don't think that's fair, because at the end of the day, irrespective of what we think of the brothers who subscribe to the teaching of Rabi al-Madkhali, if you ask them squarely whose side are you on, the Palestinians, Israel, they will all choose Palestinians. They're Muslim brothers.
That's what I thought.
Sunni.
That's why I didn't put on the list.
But their politics or their political quietism is what makes them a popular contestant to be added to that list, because I guess for their reluctance to condemn Arab rulers for their treachery, their own rulers for normalization, and just rulers generally who are in bed. But the thing is, you'll get political quietist Muslims. We have them, right? You can put Hamza Yusuf into that category and others. But with those who subscribe to that label, the Madkhalis, it's that they'll go above and beyond to justify normalization and go above and beyond to defend the likes of MBS and MBZ. So I can see why people are suggesting, but do I think no? Because I think if you ask them, if they say, look, they are Muslim brothers and we'll side with them, we just disagree with the entire politics of resistance and then the entire liberation
Daniel
movement.
H is really going after them.
He's
like,
single-handedly.
No holds barred.
Yeah, he's single-handedly just taking them all on, and I think there is genuine grounds for it. Styles and methods is obviously always something that's debatable.
Dilly, I think we're coming to an end, aren't we?
Yes.
Have you enjoyed your first appearance on Muslims Uncensored? How would you, better than Blood Brothers or kind of more potential? A bit more light-hearted, isn't it?
Light-hearted. I mean, nowhere next to Blood Brothers yet, but inshallah, I want it to be, and I want it to surpass. But it's two different kind of shows, and I enjoyed it. I think you guys have a good mojo. I think you and Robert have a better mojo than I do sometimes.
With your guests?
No, when we've shared screens together. We've debated Hagia Sophia, we debated the jihad in Syria. So me and Roshan have a complete different mojo on screen, but I think it makes sense. Plus, you guys are really nice and fair-skinned, and so it's really, really likable in that regard.
Yeah, I do attract a lot of... as a Muslim revert, I get that
admiration.
But that's another one to debate. We spoke about it on the podcast. Well, thanks, Dilly, for coming on. It's been a pleasure to have, and I really enjoy having everyone under one roof, because we've got a fantastic team here at Five Pillars, and it's good if we come together sometimes. So thanks for everything, guys, and thank you at home for watching as well. Please leave your suggestions and comments in the comment section below. We do like and reply to them as much as we can, and inshallah we will catch you again at the same time next week for another episode of Muslims Uncensored. But for now, Assalamu alaikum, jazakallah khair, and we'll catch you next time, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum.